Alright guys, I'm here with my review of Ring of Honor's Golory By Honor XI. And this show was in Canada, and I have to say, this was a really good pay-per-view. I was skeptical at first, I wasn't going to order it, but then Ring of Honor said that they would allow people a pre-show just before the pay-per-view started, so if you bought it, you could test out the stream and see if it was working. Well, I did that, and it wasn't working for me. I think it was me, maybe a few other people. I don't know how many people were having this problem, but I got audio and no video. So I was like, oh shit, this is happening all over again. But it did work. It worked perfectly as soon as the show started and continued the entire night. I had no problems with the stream this time, and that's why they did the pre-show, was to test for it. So yeah, it didn't really work at the pre-show, but that's why they did it. So they fixed the problem. And I was very, very happy with this pay-per-view. This one was easily worth $15. Two amazing matches. It was hard for me to pick match of the night with Davey Richards, Jay Lethal, Kevin Steen, Michael Elgin. But at the end, I have to give it to Kevin Steen and Michael Elgin because that match was amazing. I mean, it was so good and the people were so into it. Just a great show all around. But there was some big news that happened in Ring of Honor this week, and that is Jim Cornette is no longer the booker. Now, this doesn't really change anything because it was always him and Delirious anyway. And if Cornette is still going to be working with Delirious, it's really the only thing changing is I guess Delirious now has the final say instead of Jim Cornette. So I don't see anything changing here. What I do have a problem with is I don't understand why they would take Cornette off of TV. They did the whole Jay Lethal angle where he's pushed over the table so that Cornette would be taken off of television, but he's awesome at that. I mean, I enjoy his segments, and I have no problems with him being in an on-screen role. And I understand they want to go in a different creative direction for the booking and everything, and that's fine. Some change couldn't hurt Ring of Honor right now. But Jim Cornette is awesome on TV, and it's really going to hurt this Kevin Steen trying to kill Ring of Honor angle if there is no Jim Cornette on TV. I mean, that's what this entire thing has been built around, is Steen hating Jim Cornette so much, and now if he's not on TV to build this match up for Final Battle, it's like, what's the point? So I really have no idea why they would take him off of TV. But anyways, on to this pay-per-view. The first match is Caprice Coleman and Cedric Alexander versus the Bravados. I really liked this match. It was a great opener. Bravados are heels, thank God. I hope this continues and it's not just this one-time deal in Canada. Caprice hits the double Northern Light suplex on Harlem and then the double on both Bravados. He gets a huge pop for this move. It's an awesome move. Harlem hits a moonsault off the post to the outside. Some great dives here. Lancelot gets a bloody nose during this match. Caprice hits the Hurricane Rana. Cedric hits the splash on Lancelot for the win. And that was it. It was a great match. I'm glad CNC won, and I'm glad the Bravados are heels. Like I said, I hope this continues because they're much better as heels. Mike Bennett with Maria versus Mike Mondo. This match started off a little slow. In fact, for the first half, the crowd was just completely out. They could care less about this match, but I think some of the crazy stuff Mondo did later really brought them into this match, and I have to give him respect because that dive was just nuts, especially with the injured ankle. So Mondo dives off the apron. Bennett hits a power slam on him to the floor. Mondo throws Bennett into the barricades. He stops the ref's count so that Bennett doesn't get counted out. And at this point, I was wondering, why is Mike Mondo so pissed? Shouldn't Mike Bennett be the one trying to kill Mike Mondo? Like, why is Mondo so pissed off at Bennett? That didn't really make sense to me, but Mondo climbs to the top of the entrance, and he dives off. The big steel thing that covers the curtain. He climbs to the top of it and dives off onto Bennett. And it was just nuts. And there was this spot earlier in the match where he suffered an ankle injury, which I believe is legit because Ring of Honor posted on Twitter that he was taken to the hospital after the match. And he worked the entire match and hit this crazy-ass dive. So this was very impressive. I have to give him respect for that. Both guys crawl to the ring. Maria tries to seduce Mondo. Bennett charges. He moves. Mondo rolls him up. He gets pushed off. Maria slaps him, and Bennett hits the TKO for the win. So it was a decent match. I didn't mind this one too much, and I guess the feud's going to continue since Bennett went over here. Haas and Benjamin versus Whitmer and Titus. Haas and Benjamin hit the double powerbomb on Whitmer for the win. It was a decent match. This feud's going to continue. It's not that the match was bad. I enjoyed the match for what it was. It's just I couldn't really get interested in this one. I don't really care about this feud. Even though this one seems to get a lot of TV time for some reason. I don't know why. Whenever they do pay-per-views, it's usually not getting a lot of reaction from the fans. I mean, the fans were pretty into this one, but it's just not... I don't know, it just doesn't have something in it. I think maybe Whitmer just kind of popped back up, and he hasn't really had a lot of TV time to put the match over, and he was just kind of there instead of like a big partner or something. And I don't know, I thought it was decent, but not one of the better matches on the show. Then we get highlights from Kevin Steen versus Jay Lethal in New Jersey. Lethal snaps because Steen spits in his mother's face, and this causes Jay Lethal to go crazy and push Cornette over a table. You should seriously, if you haven't seen the footage, you should watch it because it's hilarious. But Steen's made a list of demands, or he wasn't going to do the show tonight. One is that the package pile driver has to be illegalized, and he never has to face Jay Lethal again. So he got his demands met, and he did the show. And at first I'm thinking, okay, maybe they're going, because I've been saying for a long time now, I think they're going to have El Generico versus Kevin Steen a final battle. And after this, I was thinking, okay, maybe they're building towards Jay Lethal versus Kevin Steen a final battle, but no, it is going to be El Generico, for sure. Then we get Jay Lethal versus Davey Richards. This was an awesome match here. Lethal comes out. He cuts a promo about how he's getting all the blame for this Cornette situation and the whole Kevin Steen thing and New Jersey. But he said it's Ring of Honor who told him to have a killer instinct. He was too nice. He needed to be more intense. So he says Ring of Honor can kiss his ass. And he respects Davey Richards, but he's got a lot of anger, and Davey's just the wrong person at the wrong time. So Davey comes out, pretty much destroys Lethal for most of this match. Lethal is kicking out of everything, though. Lethal tries to powerbomb Richards off the top, but he holds on. Lethal kicks him in the head. He falls off the top through a table. Richards starts kicking out of everything now, including the lethal injection. Lethal gets him in a submission hold right after he hits the lethal injection, and Richards just passes out. Ref does the hand raise. Richards is out, so Jay Lethal wins the match, and it was great. I actually wrote match of the night here because I did not think anything else on the show could top it. And like I said, Steen Elgin definitely topped it. It's still close though, but then Tadarius Thomas versus Roderick Strong, or at least that's what it was supposed to be. So Roderick comes out in street clothes, and Roderick says that he's listened to Truth Martini long enough. He quits the House of Truth, and he says he's still going to come out and watch Michael Elgin's match from the crowd later on. So Truth chases after him and comes back with Rhino. He says everything's fine. Roderick didn't quit the House of Truth. Everything's okay. And we get Tadarius versus Rhino. I don't know what the hell was up with Truth Martini here, or where they're trying to take his character, but he starts pissing off Rhino. Excuse me. Getting involved and just doing stupid stuff. So Rhino's getting pissed off. He goes to gore Tadarius, and Truth trips him so that he can't gore him. So Rhino's like, what the hell are you doing? Just let me beat this guy. So he gets ready to gore him again, and Tadarius kicks Rhino in the head and rolls him up for the win. Kind of hard to believe, but whatever. Afterwards, Rhino's going to kill Truth Martini. Truth pulls out the money. It doesn't work this time. Rhino gorilla presses him over the top rope, throws him out, and he hits the barricade. This was a sick-ass bump here. I could not believe this bump he took, because I'm pretty sure Truth Martini's had some back problems, neck problems in his career, and he landed straight on that guardrail. It was nuts. And Rhino picks up the money and leaves. And then they show Truth's leg. and his pants have actually been ripped, and you can see this huge welt on his leg from hitting this guardrail. But I also have to give him respect for taking that bump, because it was crazy. It was very Spike Dudley, and at first I was like, is he going to throw him into the crowd? But no, he just tosses him right on the barricade. So that was another crazy spot I was just flabbergasted by. Then we get Eddie Edwards and Adam Cole for the TV title. Fans are behind both guys. This was a decent match here. Cole jumps over the top rope and DDTs Eddie on the apron. I thought this just destroyed Edwards' shoulder here, because the way he landed, I thought it just ruined it. But they kept working the match. Cole hits the Florida Key for the win, and this was pretty good. They shake hands afterwards. Then we get the Briscoes versus Carino and Jacobs for the tag titles, and these guys did a great job just fighting, just having a brawl and trying to beat the crap out of each other. I really enjoyed this one. Jay hits the Death Valley Driver on Carino onto a laid-out barricade. And then they go for the Doomsday Device. Carino runs back in, low blows Jay Briscoe. Jimmy Jacobs rolls him up for the win. It was a good match. I guess they're going to continue this feud. I would hope so, because I'm trying to figure out, if this feud is over, what the hell do they do with the Briscoes? Because Scum being heels, they can have all the challengers come after them. They got the titles, but where do the Briscoes go from here is what I'd like to know. So I do hope this feud continues for a little while at least. And on to the main event, Kevin Steen versus Michael Elgin for the world title. Roderick Strong comes out to watch from the crowd. They brawl around the outside for a little while. Steen hits a frog splash off the apron onto Elgin. Elgin was just hitting crazy moves here. Dives, flips off the top rope, just crazy stuff. And very impressive. At one point, Roderick Strong rubs his head, and Michael Elgin beats the crap out of him. He just pulls him out, throws him into the barricade, throws him up in past the curtain to the back, and then goes back to beating up Steen. But this was really cool to see. So Elgin powerbombs Steen into the ring post. Steen jumps on Elgin's back on the apron. Elgin turns around and falls through a table, putting them both through a table. Elgin actually deadlifts Steen into a German suplex. This was amazing. If you've watched Ring of Honor, you know Steen is not a small guy. He's very large, and Elgin seriously deadlifted this guy up into a German suplex. Oh, it was crazy stuff. Elgin kicks out of the F5. Steen gets out of a third crossface by Elgin, hits a sleeper suplex and the package piledriver, and Elgin still kicks out. Steen hits a rolling senton on Elgin, and this was probably the most impressive thing in this match. Steen hits the rolling senton, and Elgin, sitting down, picks Steen up for a powerbomb while sitting down. I couldn't believe this. I know the deadlift German suplex was awesome, but this was just crazy, crazy. I couldn't believe this just because, like I said, Steen is so big, and Elgin was already sitting down. And just to be able to get him up for this move was tremendous. So Steen hits the rolling senton. Michael Elgin hits the buckle bomb and the spinning power bomb, but Steen kicks out of that. And Elgin takes him up top, but Steen bites him and hits the package pile driver from the second rope onto Elgin for the win. So Steen won the match, but Elgin put on a great show here. I mean, the fans were just going nuts for this. And the announcers' commentary was great. It was just a really awesome match. One of the best matches I've seen this year, especially for Ring of Honor. The Davey Richards Michael Elgin match was great too. I would probably say that one's still a little bit better, but this match is right up there with it. So Elgin's been doing an awesome job this year, and just really impressive again tonight. After the match, Roderick runs out, kicks Elgin in the face. Of course, that's where they're going to build in the future, is Roderick Strong versus Michael Elgin, a final battle. They've been building this for over half a year now. And I'm sure this is Elgin going to leave the House of Truth, and Truth Martini, I can see it now, calling him Michael Smelgin or something like Truth Martini would do. And I'm pretty sure that's where they're going to go with this one. And then the ref brings Nigel a box and says he was just told to bring it out. So Nigel gets in the ring, hands Kevin Steen the box, and says he was told to give it to him if he won the match. Steen opens the box, and it's El Generico's mask. This gets a huge pop from the fans. It was kind of predictable. I mean, the crowd was doing the ole, 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 and I mean, you kind of just knew where it was going to go. So when he pulled out the mask, it still got a great reaction, and I was very happy to see the mask because I wanted Lethal versus Kevin Steen would be okay. I wouldn't mind it, but for Final Battle, I would really like something a little bit more than that since they just started this Jay Lethal Killer Instinct thing. So the fact that it's going to be Steen versus Generico is much better in my opinion. And you can tell by the reaction the fans gave tonight, that's what they want to see too. So very happy that Ring of Honor is going to be doing that. And that was the end of the show. It was an awesome pay-per-view. I really enjoyed this one. And I really hope that they can continue this quality with the streams because the next show is going to be Final Battle. And that's Ring of Honor's biggest show of the year. And they really, really have to have this stream thing down. I hope that just because this one worked, they don't give up on trying to improve it. They need to spend the next few weeks working on this stream and making sure that it's in the best shape possible for Final Battle. And everybody will be happy if it is because this show was great. And I'm sure everybody who ordered it loved this pay-per-view. So anyway, that's my thoughts on this pay-per-view. Hope you guys liked this video. Leave your thoughts on this show in the comments below. And thanks for watching. Bye. I think it was me, maybe a few other people. I don't know how many people were having this problem, but I got audio and no video. So I was like, oh shit, this is happening all over again. But it did work. It worked perfectly as soon as the show started and continued the entire night. I had no problems with the stream this time, and that's why they did the pre-show, was to test for it. So yeah, it didn't really work at the pre-show, but that's why they did it. So they fixed the problem, and I was very, very happy with this pay-per-view. This one was easily worth $15. 2 amazing matches. It was hard for me to pick match of the night with Davey Richards, Jay Lethal, Kevin Steen, Michael Elgin, but at the end I have to give it to Kevin Steen and Michael Elgin because that match was amazing. I mean, it was so good and the people were so into it. Just a great show all around. But there was some big news that happened in Ring of Honor this week, and that is Jim Cornette is no longer the booker. Now, this doesn't really change anything because it was always him and Delirious anyway. And if Cornette is still going to be working with Delirious, it's really the only thing changing is I guess Delirious now has the final say instead of Jim Cornette. So I don't see anything changing here. What I do have a problem with is I don't understand why they would take Cornette off of TV. They did the whole Jay Lethal angle where he's pushed over the table so that Cornette would be taken off of television, but he's awesome at that. I mean, I enjoy his segments, and I have no problems with him being in an on-screen role, and I understand they want to go in a different creative direction for the booking and everything, and that's fine. Some change couldn't hurt Ring of Honor right now, but Jim Cornette is awesome on TV. Alright guys, I'm here with my review of Ring of Honor's Golory By Honor XI, and the show is in Canada, and I have to say, this was a really good pay-per-view. I was skeptical at first, I wasn't going to order it, but then Ring of Honor said that they would allow people a pre-show just before the pay-per-view started, so if you bought it you could test out the stream and see if it was working. Well, I did that and it wasn't working for me. I was